been a press conference, a presser by Ben Crump on it, where here George Floyd says, "You're not going to shoot me, are you? Don't shoot me." And the police officer says several times, "I'm not going to shoot you, I'm not going to shoot you." But then another one says, "But I'm going to tase you." It just seemed to put that in a different light than when I watched it a month ago when the defense first kind of mentioned it, or maybe it was only 3 weeks ago, or maybe it was only 2 weeks ago. But given the fact that we did have both allegedly a mistaken taser that was a gun that shot this young man, and hearing George Floyd use both those terms, do you think the jury is going to see it in a different light since they have not been sequestered?
I think it absolutely will affect them. Here's another police-involved shooting of a black man 10 miles away from where our current trial of Derek Chauvin is happening. And, you know, although Officer Kim Parker has resigned, I fully expect to see second-degree manslaughter charges. Unfortunately, this has happened a couple times before in other states. Those were the charges in those cases. Obviously, we're dealing with that same charge here in this case. So, you know, these jurors, I mean, they're going home. They're not sequestered. It's going to be impossible for them not to hear about it because it's all over the news. It's all over social media, and it's been the subject of either protests or riots, depending on what side you're on. So no question that they will be affected by this. And I think this is a terrible fact for the Wright family, but also really potentially devastating to the defense in this case, because it's going to put even more pressure on these jurors to convict if there wasn't significant pressure already.
So, David, given that, and given how I opened the show by sending or paraphrasing, actually it's really not paraphrasing, but it's a quote, there was a question in terms of the initial use of force. You felt it to be reasonable to ask Mr. Nelson of Barry BRODD, his use of force expert. And he said, "I did." He answered, "I did." And then the next question, did the use of force continue? Yes. And then, "I don't consider prone control use of force." Okay, so the jury is seeing the videotape, which I call the rock